All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a pretty amazing scientific detective story. It's this real-life mystery about how some of the most stubborn cancer cells manage to survive treatment, all by using this incredible hiding trick. So, it all starts with this huge puzzle that's had researchers stumped for years. You see, we've got these super effective cancer drugs, right? They work wonders, but why do they so often leave just a few cancer cells behind, kind of lying in wait? What's going on there? And that's really the heart of it. It's the case of the cells that just get away. This is a huge challenge in cancer treatment, and figuring it out is absolutely key if we're ever going to find a real, lasting cure. Okay, let's meet the main players in our story. On one side, you've got BTK inhibitors. These are really powerful, targeted drugs, especially for blood cancers like chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and they are fantastic at shrinking tumors. I mean, really bringing the disease under control. But, and this is a big but, they almost never deliver that final knockout punch. A few of those tough little cancer cells always seem to survive. This whole thing actually has a name. It's called minimal residual disease, or MRD for short. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. A tiny leftover population of cancer cells that hangs around after treatment. And yeah, you guessed it, these are the exact cells that can grow back later and cause a relapse. So to figure out what was happening, researchers went straight to the crime scene, in this case, the bone marrow, which is where these cancers live. And what they found there, well, it was completely unexpected. It turns out the cancer cells weren't just, tougher or better at dodging the drug out in the open. Nope, they were actively hiding. They were taking cover in a place nobody even thought to look. This hiding process is called cell-in-cell, and it's a bizarre biological event. We're talking about one whole living cancer cell literally being engulfed or swallowed by another bigger cell, like a bone marrow cell, and it's kept safe and sound inside, almost like it's in a cellular panic room. So the big question is, how on earth do they pull off this disappearing act? Let's break down this little cellular heist. Okay, here's a cool way to think about it. Imagine the BTK inhibitor drugs are the police, and they're chasing down the cancer cells, who are our burglars. Now, when the chase gets going, some of these burglars find the perfect hideout, a big delivery truck, which stands in for a bone marrow cell. But how do they get inside? Well, they have a master key, a protein called CXCR4 that unlocks the door and lets them slip right inside, completely hidden from the police. And here's the craziest twist in this whole investigation. The drug itself, the police in our analogy, is what triggers the hiding. It's wild, right? The treatment actually seems to send a signal to the cancer cells, basically yelling, "Run and hide." And that's what pushes them to go seek shelter inside those bone marrow cells. So, if the cancer cells need a key to get into their hideout, what if we could just take that key away? This line of thinking is what leads us to a potential solution. This is the huge question researchers started asking. If the CXCR4 protein is the master key that lets cancer cells into their safe house, what happens if we block it? And this is exactly how scientists could foil the heist. They found that if you block that CXCR4 pathway, which is like changing the locks on the delivery truck, the burglar can't get in anymore. The cancer cell is left totally exposed with nowhere to hide, and the police, our BTK inhibitor drug, can finally catch it. What's really fascinating here is just how specific this hiding mechanism is. It happens with BTK inhibitors, but it doesn't happen with a different class of drugs called BCL2 inhibitors. And that tells us that we've found a really precise weakness tied to a very specific treatment, which, is a massive step forward. Now, this isn't just some cool little science fact. This discovery has huge implications for the future of fighting cancer and, especially, preventing relapse. So the big takeaway is this. We now have a brand new reason why some cancers hang on after treatment. But even better, we have a new target. By creating drugs that can block that CXCR4 pathway, we could potentially stop this hiding trick in its tracks, making the therapies we already have way more effective. And the ultimate goal, of course, is giving patients a much better shot at a long-term cure. If you just remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. Some cancer cells have a secret hiding spot. but it looks like scientists may have just found a way to lock them out for good. And that could make some of our best drugs even better. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we keep uncovering these amazing little cellular secrets, what other breakthroughs are just waiting to be discovered? What could completely change the future of medicine as we know it?